He loves you every moment, he cares for you each day. And if you'll stop to think a while, he's blessed you in each way. Yes, that's his love. Yes, that's his love. Yes, that is our Father's love that's dwelling in our hearts. He wants you in his family to understand his love. He's even had our sins paid for by his son.
The value of love. Talking about Johnny Appleseed. Mama, look here again. I'm wearing a pot on my head, just like Johnny Appleseed did, to carry it across the country. So he had something to cook with. It's falling off. He must have had a pot that fit his head a little better. So anyways, there's Johnny Appleseed. This is where we left off. And I don't know that it's that comfortable to wear a pot on my head, but that's what Johnny Appleseed did. You see, he's wearing his pot on his head, even as he travels across the country to plant seeds of apples and create orchards across America. For a while, he worked in western Pennsylvania. He had his nurseries there with thousands of tender young trees, and he would always come back there, never passing a cider mill without searching through the pulp for the seeds. But it was the unbroken wilderness that really drew Johnny. He thought of the pioneers who would come after him. He thought how delighted they would be to see apple trees. He thought of the children and how they could climb the trees in the autumn and crunch the ripe apples in their teeth. Johnny's clothes wore out, and his shoes went to pieces, and he didn't care. He tramped through Ohio, preparing the earth, planting seeds, watering his orchards, and tending to them. When he finished, he moved on to do it again in some new place. See the little children climbing the tree and eating apples? He was a loving friend to his little trees. However, he always came back to them. When they were 2 years old, they had to be replanted so that there was enough distance between them. Johnny always saw to this. Then he pruned them and fussed over them like a kind father fussing over his beloved children. He brought animals with it, horses and mules and oxen that couldn't pull heavy burdens along the rough trails anymore. Johnny loved them, just the way he loved children and apple trees. If he heard of a horse being abused or abandoned, he bought it, then gave it to some farmer who would be kind to it. That's what Johnny did with his money. Sometimes Johnny would plant an orchard on the land of a man who needed trees. Now half of these trees are yours, he would tell the delighted settler, but half of them are mine, and I may be sending for them. Johnny would wait then until he met a farmer and with a half-dozen children hungering for the taste of an apple, and a wife who hadn't seen apple blossoms since she was a bride. Johnny would give the farmers a slip of paper. It's an order for some trees, he would say. You take it to Jabez Higgins down on the turnpike, and he'll let you have 20 young saplings. That's the way Johnny sent for his trees. Soon, Johnny was known all through the frontier of America. It seemed that no matter how far west the settlers pushed, he had been there before them, and strange tales were told about him. They said that the wolves came snuffling around his campfire at night when he sat eating his corn pone, and they never harmed him. They said he called himself brother to the bear, and that he could understand the crows when they chattered to one another about the doings of the forest creatures. Whether the tales were true or not, no one ever knew for sure. Johnny didn't talk much of his own affairs, but one thing is certain. When he came striding out of the woods with his cooking pot on his head and his sack of apple seeds on his back, the children all ran out to greet him. "Johnny Appleseed," they cried. "Here he comes, Johnny Appleseed." Appleseed. Hello, Johnny. The settlers always made a great fuss about Johnny. He was welcome in every cabin, and he had the best place by the fire. The children gathered close as he ate his corn pone and apple fritters and wild honey. When he had eaten, he read verses from the Bible, and then he told the news. They were starved for news on the frontier, for talk of the important things that were happening far away in the east, in Washington, where the great men of government lived. Not that Johnny ever got to Washington or anywhere near it. He didn't. But he met people on the trails and the turnpikes who did, and he passed their news along to the settlers. When the serious question of news was taken care of, Johnny might spin a few yarns of his own. The children always laughed when he told about the boy who caught a fish so big that he had to carry it over his shoulder, while its tail dragged on the ground. He had a fish fry that lasted 3 days, and when it was done, he sold the bones to a keelboat skipper to use for an oar. That sounds like a tale to me. We're going to stop again for now. We should be done in a couple more sessions, but I want to thank you for joining me to read about the story of Johnny Appleseed. Till next time.
He loves you every moment, he cares for you each day. And if you'll stop to think a while, he's blessed you in each way. Yes, that's his love. Yes, that's his love. Yes, that is our Father's love that's dwelling in our hearts. He wants you in his family to understand his love. He's even